Editor Lane here. Before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to bring up one quick thing real quick. I have had some requests for the seed of this world, and I'm not gonna lie, I meant to put it in the last couple of episodes and have completely forgotten. And I recorded this entire episode and completely forgot to include it in here as well. But I'm not gonna release it without adding it, so here it is right here. It will also be in the description below, so you guys can copy that seed and try out this world for yourself. Hey there everybody, how's it going? My name is Lane, and welcome back to another episode of Totally Survival. In last episode, we got this barn put in over here, and that's pretty much all we did. I distinctly remember saying in last episode that we were going to fix the tool situation in this episode. No, I don't mean diamond mining. I do mean getting an iron farm put in. Also, it's not just because of, well, the armor and the fact that I keep going through the rest of my tools down here. It's, well, for lanterns, because there's supposed to be lanterns on the end of those posts there. There's supposed to be more scattered out through here instead of these torches. I really don't like the torch spam, and that is something that I'm going to fix pretty much immediately. So I do need to go ahead and get an iron farm put in this episode, so that will for sure be happening, and I'm thinking it's going to go along this coast over here, though that might change, so we'll come back to that. But that's not all I have planned for today's episode, folks. I actually think I want to get a horse. You see, I actually think I'm going to spend more time running around the world this season instead of just rushing directly into getting wings. Last season, I think it was like episode 8 or something like that, where I went and I beat the dragon and I got wings and everything. I don't plan on doing that this early in the season. I plan on holding that off for a while, or at least as long as I can physically stand to do that. So I do want to get a halfway decent horse, but, you know, I need a stable for the horse. So I'm probably going to head out and start looking for horses. I do have extra saddles back over here that I've fished up from, well, all the time that I've spent over here fishing, because I've been doing a lot of that off camera. And after I get that done, and of course it starts raining in the middle of this, after I get done with that, I plan on putting in a stable, and I actually think I want it to go right here next to the barn. And I kind of have a little area envisioned for all of this. And what I'm thinking is a stable here, and then we're going to have farmland coming out here and around, and then coming out here and around. I'm not entirely sure. You know, plans are subject to change. We will see what happens. But yeah, I think that's where we're starting. I am going to go grab a saddle, and I think I'm going to go ahead and start looking for a horse. Alright, I've gotten some more food, I've gotten a saddle, and I think it's time to go ahead and start looking for a horse. So I think last time I seen them, they were off in this direction over here. There's like a big plains biome over here, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be some horses out this direction, so I'm going to get out here and see what's what. I'm really hoping we can get a pretty decent horse. I'm not asking for the best one. I'm just asking for one that's going to be pretty quick and hopefully get us from point A to point B without it being too terribly slow. So yeah, let's get out here and see what we can find. Alright, so we've got a couple of horses out here now. We've got a few different options to choose from, and I'm just going to go ahead and start taming and seeing what I can find. There we go. Okay, it's a 6.9, it's got a 3.5 block jump, and it's got 18 hearts. Let's see how fast. Oh no, I don't want this one. Sorry, sorry, bud. You're not gonna come home with me. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Oh, this one's got a faster speed by the looks of it. Maybe. Okay, this one is faster than the other one, so that's a good sign. All right, I'm gonna keep my eye on you. Actually, you know what? I have a lead. I'm just gonna do this, and I probably should have taken the saddle off. Okay. Okay, he's got a lot of health, but he's got less speed. I actually really would prefer the speed at this point. Alright, there we go. Oh, and this one's actually a little bit faster, but like by 0.1. So if I hop over to this one, it's got 3 for the jump. This one's got 2.9. And it's only 0.1 faster. Is that actually even worth it? Really, I'm not noticing much of a difference between those two. I think I'm going to stick with the brown one. So now we have a new horse, which means you guys need to do your job and leave me a name suggestion for this horse down in the comments. I'm terrible at naming things, so you're gonna see me ask for names a lot. And there's also a donkey over here, which is, oh, two donkeys, which is the exact reason that I brought these leads over, because I figured I might as well take a couple of these back with me for extra storage as I'm riding around the world. As I'm riding back with these guys, I was just curious, oh, I lost one. Should I actually take the time to breed up some horses at some point and see if I can get the best one that we can get? I've actually never done any horse breeding really in Minecraft. Believe it or not, this is actually one of the few times where I actually would use a horse. Typically, I'd never use them. I actually forget they're a feature until I get wings, and then by that point, it's just too late. So, and we lost him again. I'm going to get them back, but just let me know down in the comments, should I actually breed up some horses and stuff in the future? Alright, so after a quick little trek back to the house, or well, to the barn, we now have the two donkeys and we've got the horse. So now not only do I need a name for the horse, I need a name for the two donkeys. So yeah, you guys, you have one job. You're tasked with that. And yeah, now that we've got them over here, we need to start getting in some stables over here. Again, I have not planned out a build for any of this stuff, so I'm just gonna kind of wing it. I do know that I'm gonna have to terraform around this area a little bit, but I actually have an idea in mind as I'm sitting here looking at this, and I think it'll be pretty cool. So I need to gather a bunch of dirt and start terraforming, and I need to go ahead and start getting the foundation put in. Because I'm winging this one, I'm going to walk you guys through it a little bit more than I did with the barn, because I didn't do that. But we are going to go through that with this. What I'm thinking is there's going to be the general stables here, and then there's going to be like a little section over here that's part of it. And then I'm going to add in just like a little field area maybe leading out there, or that might end up changing. Something for me to, you know, breed up some horses and donkeys to just kind of, you know, roam around for a little bit to make it look more lively out here. And I wanted to do the same thing over here on this side for the cows and stuff like that to make it look like we've got animals, you know, roaming the fields and whatnot, or well, what fields will be here. And yeah, so I probably will get to doing the actual thing over here on this side at a later point. Right now, that's not entirely what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna stick to this area here, get this finished up, and then go to the iron farm. And then I still need to get paths put in place. I know that there's going to be a bridge leading over here. There's going to be a path leading up to here and then over to here where the stables are. And then there's going to be a path that's connecting here that's leading all the way around here to the iron farm. The path might not get done in this episode. I'm just going to be honest about that. It just depends on how much time I have to work on this and how many resources I have. So I'm going to start with the builds and we'll see what happens. Let me go get some dirt. Okay, so I've kind of finished the terraforming, and I do mean kind of. I will explain that in a second. And I did go ahead and get the outline of the build put in place. So this one here will end up taking shape of like the, well, the central area for the stables. And then this area here will probably have some of the storage items like, you know, hay bales and whatnot. And then these two right here will probably house a couple of donkeys and probably my horse. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. I can go ahead and tell you that the color palette is going to be a little different. I mean, it's still going to follow along the theme of a lot of dark oak and a lot of spruce, but there will be some regular oak and stuff mixed in there as well. There's not going to be really any birch mixed in. I'm changing quite a bit of it. I do think it will still fit aesthetically in this area. Not every build needs to follow this exact color palette, otherwise it gets to look a little too samey, so I kind of want to experiment a little bit with that. And yeah, so I need to go ahead and get some more resources together, such as the wood and everything else. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started on that here in just a second. Before I forget, I wanted to show you guys what I mean about kind of terraforming. So I stopped right about here because I really don't know what else I want to do in this area just yet. Because right here, I think it needs to kind of flatten out so I could have fields for some of the horses and donkeys to roam around. But then I figured I might do that back here in this area instead. And I might just wall off this area, make it look more like a plateau or something. I think that's the word I'm looking for. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm gonna probably get the build put in first and then figure out exactly what I want to do around here. I'll figure that out at some point. I'm gonna go ahead and get started getting materials together, and I will see you guys in a bit. Alright, so I've just about got this build finished, and it's pretty much at a level now where I'm content with leaving it for the episode. I can always come back in and add other things in as I get the resources and everything. But to basically sum up what we've got, well, the stables. So over here, I went ahead and moved in the animals. I've got my horse, and as I was riding him over here, I realized he is actually a little slow, so I might go get a new one. But I do have this one, and I've got the 2 donkeys, and then I added in hay bales in here just to make it look like a storage area, I guess. I probably should add in more barrels and chests and stuff around here. And then in here, I also planned on putting in a couple of horses as well. I just got to go actually get some at some point, and then some hay bales here as well to kind of break up the flatness of this wall. You can see that there's not really a whole lot of lighting, and well, that's part of the reason we are also making the iron farm today, but we'll get to that here in a minute. This other wall back here was also very, very bland. I was not sure what to do with it, so I added in these windows over here with the staircases and the trapdoors, and it looked okay from a distance. It needed a little something else to kind of break it up from the area, so I added in the hay bales around here, which adds a little bit more depth and a little bit more color to the wall. I still never finished doing the terraforming around here. I am going to get that before we move on, but yeah, this is pretty much it. You can see that I did try to implement in those jungle trapdoors in here, and I actually kind of like that. I wasn't entirely sure how I would feel about it, but I'm kind of happy with it. And then I added in a little bit of greenery up here as well, and used the signs and the buttons there for a little bit of extra depth and detail. And I forgot to go back and texture that roof. I'll get to that in a little bit, but you can see that I did texture that side and that side there. And yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with it for the most part. There are some little changes that needs to be added into it, but we'll eventually get to that point. Really what I want is a bunch of like mud and coarse dirt and rooted dirt to go throughout all of this to make it look more lived in, like these animals have been here for a while, we've used this for a while. I just don't have rooted dirt, nor do I have mud, nor do I have a lot of coarse dirt. So we're going to come back to that at some point in the future. Whenever I get those materials, I come in here and change out the floor for all that, because I still have to make the path, which I've pretty well decided will not be in this episode anyway. What I need to do is I need to get out here, I need to finish this off, and I think I have an idea for what I want to do. I just need to get some stones and stuff to actually do it. And yeah, so I'm going to get that finished up, and then I will see you guys here in a minute when it's time to start that iron farm. Okay, so an update before we move on real quick. I did go ahead and put in the wall over here, and I actually really like how that looks. I, for whatever reason, am really happy with how this whole area looks, with the land being raised right here and there just being like this wall going around. I think that it fits that area, and I don't know, that might just be me, but I'm really happy with it. So I can't really complain. And from back here, the sight lines are actually pretty good. So in last episode, I kind of talked about the importance of having a clear sight line. Well, this one, I kind of broke up the sight line a little bit. So what I've learned here lately is that being able to break up the sight lines every now and again is just as important as actually having a clear sight line. And I think because that wall right here, how bland it was before I put in these hay bales and added in the depth and everything, I think this wall here would have done a pretty decent job at breaking up that sight line. But with all the detailing and texturing that I did back there with the depth and everything, and having this wall put in, it actually distracts you a little bit from the wall of the barn itself. So with it being as bland as it is, it's not really that noticeable. So that's actually a really important thing. Now there's a couple of imperfections with the build that I need to fix, and then with the wall I probably should change a few other things from where I'm sitting, but right now I'm really happy with it. So I'm going to sleep this night away, and we're going to get started on the old iron farm. Alright, so I've already got some work done on the area. Not the building itself, but I did go ahead and deforest this area. And I leveled out this spot in particular just a little bit better. but I do have an idea for this area, which we will talk about in a bit. I just remembered that this is an iron farm. It's going to need villagers. So now I have to make the amazing trek over to a nearby village and try to escort some villagers back over here. Yay. If you've ever messed with villagers before, you know just how bad it is. But I do have it on good authority that there's a village off in this direction somewhere. Pretty sure it's a savannah village. I remember seeing it at some point. I don't remember if I ever looted it or not, but I know it's over there. So I'm going to take a boat over there and try to make that happen. If I remember the area correctly, the water trail that goes all the way around here, it basically will just curve off this direction and will lead all the way over there. And it should just be a pretty straight shot by boat. So I really shouldn't have any issues as far as that is concerned. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and well, grab my bed because I left it over there, and I am gonna just head over to that village. Okay, yeah, I do remember this area. This is right beside the jungle where we got Gerald, Harold, and Harold. I guess I don't know, but I remember this area because there was a ruined portal right here, and then there was that village right over here in the savannah. You can actually see the rooftop of one of the houses right there. That's a really good thing to know because that is not that far from the village, and this should make things a lot easier getting to and from. So yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. Okay, so I've got the villagers back over here now, and we can go ahead and get started with all of this. So I am following a tutorial for this build, which will be linked down in the description below. But essentially, the aesthetic part of the tutorial is going to go like right here, and I'm actually going to change things up quite a bit, and basically the killing chamber is going to look a lot different from the one that's in the video. I'm basically combining that idea with my own idea to make one big thing, I guess, and I actually think this is going to work out pretty well. I have not tested this, so I'm really hoping it's going to work out, but yeah, so I need to go ahead and start getting more materials together, mainly the spruce, and well, that's majority of it. I'm also going to need a lot more of the stone stuff because that there is basically the last of it. I used pretty much all of the stone stuff I had on the barn and on this, so I've got some mining I've got to do, as well as some tree chopping that's got to get done, and yeah, I've got a lot of work ahead of me. I'm going to go ahead and get that knocked out. I will see you guys here in a minute. Okay, so I've got pretty much most of the materials I need to get this thing started. I'm just gonna kind of explain my idea first, and then we'll get the build done shortly. But the actual iron farm is gonna sit back here in this area somewhere, and essentially there's gonna be a water path leading them over here. And once they get right here, they will fall into a kill chamber that is gonna be in a tower that's right here. So the actual farm that's gonna be put in place, I'm following a tutorial on. It's not only for the actual function, but for the aesthetics as well, because I wanted something that was aesthetically pleasing, and I find it difficult to hide farms. So I wanted to do something there, but I've got my own little twist for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a little tower right here, and I'm going to make it kind of reach up a good ways. I'm not really sure just how far yet. And basically the golems, they will be transported from the farm over to here to the killing chamber. And from down here, you will come in through a doorway right in here. There will be a chest here collecting all the drops, and that's basically how it's going to work. So there's not really much else to tell about it. Considering I am following a tutorial on how to build the first half of the farm, or like the actual farm itself, and not all the rest of it, I'm probably just going to do this as a time lapse, because if I explain every step in detail as to what I'm doing, it might get just well, a little too long of a video. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get started in a time lapse on this, and I will catch you guys here in a little bit. All right, so many hours later, and I'm finally done building this thing. So, in the time lapse, you could see me cut off pretty much right as soon as I finished getting the outline of the tower, and that is essentially because I was getting way too indecisive and I could not figure out what I wanted to do with it. So I spent pretty much the entire day today building this thing, tearing it down, building this thing, tearing it down. And I've got to tell you now that using these stone tools has been absolutely atrocious, but the iron farm is now working. So let me show you what I've got. This back here is the actual iron farm, and you can see it is currently working. So we've got the villagers and the zombie inside of here, and basically the villagers back there, they start running back and forth, getting scared of the zombie in here. And this area down here is the only spawning platform for the actual golems. So they will get pushed down this into this lava pool here, where they will drop all of their drops in there. And then you go inside of this here tower to collect the drops. And you can see here that I've already got this much iron, which is honestly just terrific because that's more iron than I've seen all season so far. And that's going to be great. And I actually think it's close enough to the house that I might be able to continuously run this and not have any issues. At least I hope so. I probably will still AFK over here as time goes, just to make sure that I have plenty. But you might actually recognize this tower. This is a very similar design to what I used in Season 1. I just made the base a lot bigger and did a lot more texturing with the cobblestone, with the walls, and I used the stairs to make it look like there's holes and stuff in there as well. And then I basically followed the same palette that I used in that one, but I actually think that fits this area really, really well. And if we go back here in free cam still, you can see that this adds just a lot to that area as a whole. Let me turn up the FOV. Look at how much is in that area already. That honestly to me looks just amazing, and everything looks like it fits together. Everything looks like it is meant to be there. The only thing that I need to be worrying about right now is probably getting the roadways put in because, well, we do need some sort of paths going through here, which we will eventually get to. I'm not going to worry about that today because I've spent enough time on this tower. One other thing that I want to bring up is the interior in here. I'm not doing this today. I'm just telling you that now. I'm tired of looking at this thing. I'm not doing it today. Up here and further on up here, there is no interior, and I do have intentions on going back and doing that at some point. This is not one of those things that I say I will do and will never get around to doing it. I will eventually do it. It might take all season, but it will get done. But yeah, so the iron farm has been working. It's doing great. It keeps churning out the iron, and that's really all that I can ask for. I did have a few spawning issues. You might have even caught in the time lapse how the villagers that were down here, they got well, zombified, and that was a whole issue. I had to go back for new ones. I actually ended up going to a nearby Plains village and getting those guys. You know, we're just not even going to talk about it because I got really frustrated with those guys. And yeah, so I spent a lot of time worrying with those guys and getting everything put in place. And oh no, I'm done. Before we end this, I'm gonna go ahead and make new armor and tools real quick. All right, I feel a lot better now. I've got a full set of iron armor and iron tools, and I've got plenty in reserve so I can start making lanterns to get rid of some of the torch spam that is out here and basically get rid of the ones that are in areas where they should not be. And I think that's just going to be something that I do in between episodes and off camera because it's, well, going to be a tedious task. And I also think that just about does it for today's episode. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to show your support by liking the video, commenting down below, and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And be sure to turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content. My name is Lane, and I will see you guys in the next one.